is being elevated from Cleveland's practice squad for today's game. A look around the rest of the Week 8 NFL slate in the 1 o'clock window, an NFC East matchup between the Giants and Eagles. At 4:25, the Cowboys travel to take on the Broncos in your game tonight as the Green Bay Packers visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. In ranked college football matchups yesterday, number 3, Texas A&M went into and blew out number 20 LSU 49-25. Number 8, Ole Miss beat number 13 Oklahoma 34-26. Number 15 Missouri falling to number 10 Vanderbilt on the road 17-10. Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels coming up just short in overtime, almost pulling off the upset of number 16 Virginia. The Bruins picked up a 3-2 home win last night against the Colorado Avalanche. Mason Lohrei gave the Bees 3 assists in that one. The Celtics are in action today. They visit the Detroit Pistons this afternoon at 3:30. Coverage starts at 3 o'clock on our sister station, 105.7 WROR. And the World Series is even at 1 game apiece after the Dodgers beat the Blue Jays 5-1 last night. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the fun-to-drive Honda HR-V. Head to your local New England Honda dealers to learn more and see our line of Honda vehicles. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle. The show that's all Patriots, all football, all year long. The clutch wins, the tough losses, and the game-changing plays. This is the show that has it all covered. Sunday Kickoff, brought to you in part by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Welcome in to Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff on a beautiful fall day in New England. It truly is football weather out there, and if you're heading down to Gillette today, you are in for a treat. It's going to be a great day to watch this game. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin behind the glass with you for the next 2 hours, getting you ready for Patriots, Browns, and all things NFL Week 8. Good morning, Cerrone.
Good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And you know, I'm having fun. I'm having fun covering this football team. I really am. They got a lot of fun stuff going on. It's an interesting team. And I think today's game is interesting. I do. I think today's game against the 2-5 Browns is an interesting one because maybe, the Browns are not a great team, big picture. I think they do a couple of things really well that will test the Patriots in pressure points that will teach us a lot about where this Patriots team is at. This is a game they should win, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be an easy win, if that makes sense. This Browns defense is the real deal. They can play, and in particular, they can get after the quarterback, and they can stop the run. They dominate the line of scrimmage. A lot has been made of the improvements on the Patriots' offensive line, and I think they are certainly, at least to an extent, real. It's a better line than it was last year. How real is it? I think we find out today. That's the biggest story for me. I find it fascinating, but I understand you maybe think I'm maybe blowing a little too much smoke here.
Well, I think as overall with the Browns, I think we're giving them a ton of credit. I think we're looking at them as if their record was reversed. If they were a 5-2 team, I think they're 2-5 for the reason. And it's defensively, they're a good defensive team. If you keep the score close enough, they're going to burn you. That is what it is. But this team, I think their struggles offensively are just extraordinarily bad. I think they can't move the ball. Their running back has been good. Rookie player, he's pretty good. But overall, as a team rushing the ball, I think they're one of the worst teams in football. And they get off the field pretty quick. But if you allow this team to hang around and allow that defensive line and front seven to really get after you, you're going to have problems. They're going to turn you over. They're going to, get you quick 3 and outs and get that offense back on the field. And any NFL team that gets a bunch of chances at is going to put points up. But I think this game, I don't think there's going to be any in between in this one. I think it's either going to be a blowout game for the Patriots or it's going to be an ugly 13-10 type situation. And I'm hoping for the blowout, but I want to see this team take the confidence away from this Browns team so they're not feeling good about themselves like they were when they played, Green Bay and the game was close, it got tight, and then they ended up pulling off the victory. You got to blow this team out and get it over early. If not, they're going to hang around. They're going to cause problems.
And I mean, they're coming off a win as well. 31-6 against Miami. It's the first time this season they've broken the 17-point mark. Like, as much as I'm going to rave about the defense, and I'm going to rave a good amount about the Browns' defense. This unit's pretty good. The offense, I mean, I don't remember, at least at the NFL level, there's, if you're familiar with Iowa football, they kind of have this vibe, but I don't remember the last time I covered a team, Cerrone, or I studied a team that the discrepancy between the offense and defense was so massive, especially where it's the defense ahead. Mm-hmm. Even some of those late-stage Belichick teams. And I do think this game could go the way we saw some of those games go at the end of the Belichick era. The roles reversed, but remember, like, the defense would be playing well, but it would be like 10-0, which is not by any means a massive lead in the NFL, but we'd be sitting there like, hey, they can't erase this 10-point deficit in the second half, because that's just where the offense was. Yeah. And it's like that, I guess, at times last year, too. The defense kind of fell off, but like, I could see this being one of those games. And you're right. I think for the Patriots, if you get up early, if you can get up 10-0, 13-0 early, the Browns just don't have the firepower to fight back. Dylan Gabriel, I was not a huge fan of him as an NFL prospect coming out. He's struggled early on. He's really afraid to throw the ball down the field. He only has 4. Now, who he'd be throwing the ball to is maybe part of that, to be fair. Their only plus receiver at this point is Jerry Jeudy, who's banged up. They do have a couple good tight ends. Njoku's a really good player. Fannin is a rookie who's coming along, but those guys are not running go routes. So, doesn't throw the ball down the field, has not been super accurate throwing it short. They have to rely on the run game to produce. And credit where credit's due. You mentioned it. Quinshon Judkins has started to come along here the last couple weeks, but not, I mean, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not going to carry an offense. Yeah. And this Patriots defense is one of the best run defenses in the league. So, if you can force them into situations where they have to throw, they don't really have an answer. But to your point, if you hang around, if you let them hang around, and suddenly this Browns defense can tee off, strip sack, interception. The Patriots have been really, really good about not turning the ball over. It's going to be a really hard test to do that today against this defense. Forced 4 turnovers last week, albeit against a really bad Miami team.
And it was pouring rain, too.
Pouring rain, but I mentioned the 31 points they put up last week. That included a defensive touchdown in 2 drives that started inside Miami territory, including one that started at the 2-yard line. So there's really like 3 defensive scores in there. If you let the defense force turnovers, you keep it close, you're going to be in trouble. Because if you're the Patriots, I don't think you want to play from behind against this team. No. And let them pin their ears back. It shouldn't get to that point, but you really don't want to be there. So it's a great point by you. Get up. They can't afford a slow start today. That's really the one thing I think that makes you nervous. They've obviously had this run of slow starts to start the year. You can do that against the Tennessees and the New Orleans Saints of the world. The Browns aren't one of the tougher teams they're gonna face. Like, we've talked about it in terms of, well, when you get to the Bills later in the year, and we'll see where the Ravens at, but even the Bucks in a couple of weeks, like, you can't be playing from behind. I don't think it's as extreme with the Browns, but you don't want to let this defense dig in and get momentum. I think of, it's a soft schedule to begin with. And even a soft schedule, to me, is going to have its soft parts. And we identified before the year, this stretch, Saints, Titans, Browns, albeit 2 on the road, this was the soft part of a soft schedule. This was, everybody said, if they sweep that, they're going to be in good shape. This, to me, is the hardest game of this 3-game stretch. I do put the Browns a tick ahead, certainly ahead of where the Titans are, and maybe a tick ahead of where the Saints are as well.
Because they have something great that they can do. They can defend. They can at least...
Right, and they have, I would say Myles Garrett is the best player they faced in this 3-game stretch. Overall.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best players they're going to face all season. Yeah, on both sides of the ball. Too. Yeah. I mean, but it's something that they're very, very good at. The Titans didn't have anything that you could say they're elite at this. Or the Saints The Saints had some explosive plays here or there, but they weren't elite on one side of the ball. But you saw the Saints defensive line give the Patriots problems. And I think you're going to run into the same situation this week, except for the Browns have a better secondary than the Saints did.
Yeah.
And they're not going to give up all those deep passes to Pop Douglas and Stephon Diggs. But, I mean, at least I don't think they will. But I think with this team, you mentioned it, the turnovers. They can't go back to the bad habits they had the first month of the season where they were having the costly turnovers. They should have beaten that Steelers team, should have beat them badly. But you just shoot themselves in the foot, goal line turnovers, like I said, strip sacks, things like that. You can't have those huge momentum swings against this team. In the kicking game, okay, they forced you to 3 and out. That's fine. You can't shank any punts. You force this team to march 75, 80 yards every time. And eventually you're going to get the ball back and you're going to get enough cracks at it to where you can get your points. You're going to get 30? I don't think so. But you're going to have your chances to get your points. But I think ball security and just being smart with play calling is the key to this one. I wouldn't do anything risky that put this team in a chance where they can score quickly on the other end. I think just keeping it simple, simplified game. Don't turn the ball over, and you should come out of this with a victory. But if you get out of there and get wild and you're fumbling and penalties, holding calls because the defensive line is really teeing off and the offensive line can't hold up, so there's holding calls, there's face anything that can help this team out would be a detriment to the Patriots. So I think they just have to play a clean, simple game, and I think they get out of here with a victory. It's not about style points; it's about just stacking up wins at this point of the season.
It is not a style points game. Like I said earlier, like we watched this game a number of times in like 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
It's going to be field position game. You just hang on. You count on the Browns offense making a mistake later. Though I will say Dylan Gabriel has not turned the ball over yet. That's the one thing he's done. Now he really
smart.
I mean, he's not. It's so conservative that he hurts them in a lot of other ways. But he's not turned the ball over. They're playing a field position game as well. Real quick on Myles Garrett. Evan Lazar said this on Catch 22 this week, and I just found it really interesting. So I've kind of been asking everybody. I asked Matt Dolph on the Sports Hub Patriots podcast, the Patriots Hub podcast, and Dolph will actually join us later this hour. Myles Garrett, is he the greatest defensive end of all time?
Ooh.
Like modern era? So not going back to like Deacon Jones, right, in that far. Mm-hmm. But I had 4 names I pulled off the top of my head. And one of them is going back a little bit, but I think you have to put him in the conversation out of respect. Reggie White.
Yep.
Who, admittedly, I've seen clips of him and like I've read about him. I did not watch him live. Reggie White, Michael Strahan, J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett. That to me is the short list. Defensive end. So like, Micah Parsons, linebacker, right? Doesn't count. We're not including edge rushers here. T.J. Watt, linebacker, doesn't count. Defensive end is Myles Garrett. He's 29 years old. He still has time. You could argue he's tracking that way, but like, does he have a case for the best defensive end of all time in your mind?
Ooh, if you include Reggie White, I'd still put him behind Reggie White.
Do you think he has a chance to catch him?
I think he could. You think he does? I think what's holding him back?
Being
the
on a
opportunity
bad team.
of the big stage. Yep. The big stage. Reggie White, we saw this man in playoff runs in the Super Bowls throwing people around like it was nothing. And I much as people want to give credit to the Packers offense, Reggie White won that Super Bowl against the Patriots by himself. But I think the big stages was holding him back. I think Myles Garrett, to me, is in the same situation as a guy who played for the Browns, left tackle, one of the great left tackles of all time. But because we never got to see him on any stage, I would say it didn't hurt him at all. But I would put him up there, as a defensive end, because you're right. Because once you start going through the list of guys getting all the sacks and all that, they're all outside linebackers who play in certain different type of formations.
Right, like
but
Lawrence Taylor does not count in this.
He's a linebacker.
There is one more defensive end I should throw in. The all-time sacks leader, Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith, yeah.
Deserves him. But that's another no, the Bills were good when he was there. I shouldn't say that. The Bills
they were we saw him prime time.
Yeah.
And those guys, him and Reggie White were massive human beings. They were would be D tackles today. But yeah, I would say once you break it down, man, him and Strahan, and I can't think of any other defensive end that I will put on that list. You had Allen that played in Kansas City or whatever, but I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame, but you might be onto something, Alex. I mean, he might be the best true defensive end that we've seen in a really, really long time. I didn't think about it like that. The rest of the linebackers, I guess Watt's a defensive end. But yeah, you might be on to something. He might be the best guy since those guys back in the 90s. He might be the best defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking like Super Bowl era here, right? So Deacon Jones, captain, he's that's kind of a different era. It's harder to judge. I'm trying to go off of people I've watched. You go through the rest of the sacks list. Kevin Green was like a hybrid linebacker, defensive end.
Yeah.
Julius Peppers, good player. I think some people might consider him a linebacker, but I think Garrett's a better player than he was.
Jared Allen?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. I mentioned Jared Allen.
Jared Allen's up there. Jared Allen, and this is what we're going to see with Garrett. Jared Allen, oh no, his production was like over 10 years. Yeah, you could put him up there. The thing about Garrett, though, to me, and this is going to be a factor for the Patriots today, nobody talks about how good he is against the run.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable against the run. Even if you take his pass rush production out, he'd be one of the best players in the league for what he does against the run.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, some of those guys were great pass rushers, but they weren't the all-around player that Myles Garrett is. I do agree with you. I think Jared Allen, underrated, historical player.
And I think just because we as Patriots fans watched him dominate so many times, I would Jason Taylor might have a claim to that spot as well.
That's a good one.
Jason Taylor was unbelievable for the Dolphins.
Jason Taylor's another name that came up while I was doing this research.
And just another one, but he wasn't good against the run. Dwight Freeney.
But again, that's what separates, like, Dwight Freeney, great player in his era, but Garrett's on another level because he's just so dominant. So that's somebody the Patriots are going to have to deal with. We'll get more into that. I also want to get into, Cerrone, this is our second to last show before the trade deadline. We haven't done a lot of trade deadline talk, so I want to get into that with Matt Dolph joining us coming up as well. Want to get into some Hall of Fame talk today on the show. Of course, we'll break down this matchup more, go around the NFL for Week 8. I will let everybody know our opening segment was powered by Boston Solar, is our Bright Spot segment. Last week's Bright Spot comes from early in the third quarter. New England's defense powered through the O-line, forcing a fumble and returning it for a touchdown to extend their lead to 31-13. Boston Solar has helped over 6,000 homeowners take control with clean, reliable energy that saves money. Right now, score $3,000 off your solar installation when you make the switch. Schedule your free consultation at bostonsolar.us. Boston built, Boston trusted, Boston Solar. Off and running here. You want to give us a call, 617-779-0985 on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
think if there is a short-term buy here for him, it's going to be more of a depth piece. We've talked about running back. Maybe it's a Zamir White from Vegas, who Josh McDaniels worked with. Maybe it's somebody down the depth chart in Tennessee. Maybe it's Jalen Wright in Miami if the Dolphins were willing to trade in division, where they wouldn't have to give up a lot, because I don't think that they want to affect their draft capital going forward for 26 and 27 with all the holes they still have on the roster for some sort of short-term fix. Then you get to the long-term bucket. And this is where I think you'd be looking at guys that might mirror the opportunity they were looking at a year ago with Brandon Ayuk, where you can bring in a guy who's going to help you now and also be a building block for you going forward. So who could that be? Maybe a Chris Olave in New Orleans, maybe a Jordan Addison in Minnesota, guys that are nearing the end of their rookie deals where maybe their teams like the player but don't plan on signing them long-term. So I think that would be the sort of long-term buy that you would look at, where it'd be somebody who'd be a younger player, where then maybe you are willing to give up big-time draft capital. But I don't see them giving up high-end draft capital for some sort of short-term fix like a Trey Hendrickson.
That was Albert Breer at the beginning of the week on the Patriots trade deadline approach. Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. I'm in on that. I don't know how you feel, Cerrone. We haven't really talked about the trade deadline much. And look, I'm the guy that anything football-wise, I'll get up for it. You had the 767th to 768th ranked college football teams in the country playing this weekend. I thought that was interesting. That was New England College and I think it was Maine Maritime. The NFL trade deadline doesn't do it for me. And it's been better in recent years, but just the nature of the sport, it's not as impactful. You rarely see the big guys move. Like, I think Von Miller got dealt at the deadline a couple years ago. That was a big one. Mm-hmm. But that being said, the Patriots are in position to make some moves here. They do have 10 draft picks this year, 8 next year. I wouldn't hate if they did something. I don't think you're getting that big franchise-altering move at the deadline. Like, the Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown at the deadline. That's not happening. We can talk about maybe in the offseason, and there are some needs that we talk about. Like, we know wide receiver is a long-term need for this team. It's been better this year, but Stephon Diggs is in his 30s. Like, he's not a long-term answer at that position. Kayshon Bouttie's gotten going, but you're going to need somebody with him. But I'm not looking at that as a deadline need, because I don't necessarily think you get that guy here. So when I hear Breer say that, like, they're not going to take a big swing on a short-term rental. They're not, like, that to me eliminates a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who I don't know that they need to give up a second-round pick to get that guy. To me, if you can get somebody who will help you long-term, great. If not, it's just add depth at positions where you need depth. That's linebacker, edge rusher, corner. The running back one's interesting. I think a lot of Patriots fans want them to, take a swing at like an Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry if those guys were to get moved. Look, if you can get them for cheap, which isn't happening, but like if you get them for cheap, fine. But I don't even know that they need a running back to reset the top of their depth chart. You saw Ramondre Stevenson get going last week. I still think you want to try to get Travion Henderson going, but you realistically need a third body at that position.
Yeah, you don't need a starter.
Right, but you need a guy. So maybe they trust Terrell Jennings ultimately, but he mentioned Zamir White in there, right? Somebody like that who you can just give 5 to 10 carries a game. Jerome Ford's been thrown out there, who we'll see today with the Browns. Jerome Ford also returns kicks, which
value
underrated trade deadline need. If you can just get a kick returner at any position, because Afton Chisholm's not the guy there. He just doesn't have the speed for it. That's where I'm at with the trade deadline. Like, if realistically speaking, if you can round out the depth at one or two key positions, I think that could do more than people think it would. Because this team, the depth is we haven't seen it because, knock on wood, they've been lucky injury-wise, but the depth is still rough in some spots.
And you mentioned it earlier when you started this conversation. Excuse me. The trade deadline doesn't do anything for a lot of people, including yourself, and a lot of football fans. There's really not a lot of juice to it, because we're used to seeing in Major League Baseball that move put a team over the top, or in the NBA we can see one move just completely change the landscape of the second half of the season. Whereas in the NFL, you never really get that. It doesn't seem that way on the surface, but like you said, you come away with a depth player, a return man, running back, a defensive end, just somebody on the edge. Not just on the edge, but somebody at the back, not the back end of the depth chart. Just a guy that's going to get playing time, but not a major role. A lot of times, those are the moves that put teams over. It's the little subtle moves here and there, not the big names. People are mentioning Derrick Henry and Kamara because they're big names, so fans want to see the big name player come in. But bringing in a depth guy, like you said, a return man, in today's NFL, having a guy that can get you starting position around the 40 every time is huge. So, I mean, those little moves will help put this team, I'd say over the top, but put them in a lot better position. And I agree with you. Just adding depth, I think, is the key. And I don't want to give up a ton of draft picks because you can see how a good draft can not only turn the team around, but help improve a team and keep a team at the top. Philly's where they're at because of drafting well. Detroit's where they're at. We've gone over this 1,000 times. But I don't want to give up a ton of draft collateral because of a big name player that might help you here or there for a season, maybe a season or two. But if you can find a way to get somebody long term, like a Hendrickson out of Cincinnati or something like that, yeah, that guy's a playmaker. He can put you over for a little while. But again, I'm not giving up first round, second round picks for basically any of these guys right now. Because look at this: if they were first round talent, worthy of first round pick, their teams wouldn't be getting rid of them at this point in the season. So
that's a good one. I've seen a lot of people, I'll bring up one name in particular. I've seen a lot of people bring up Brian Thomas, who the Jaguars are reportedly shopping. Now, look, I really like Brian Thomas in the draft. I think he's a good player. He's obviously having a rough year. What is he, 23 years old, I think?
Maybe.
In the second year of his rookie contract, just turned 23 earlier this month. If the Jaguars are already willing to move on, by the way, as a 4-win, are they 5 wins now? 5-win team? As a 4-3 team in the mix, if the Jaguars are already ready to move on from a 23-year-old receiver in the second year of his rookie contract who had 1,300 yards as a rookie, look, the answer could very much be they're the Jaguars, they're bad at this, there's nothing to it. But also, shouldn't that almost kind of be a red flag?
Yes.
Like, why is this guy available?
Not his rookie season. That was 9 months ago. He finished with 1,300 yards. Like, why? What happened between then and now to where they're like, let's get this guy out of here
they lost
as fast as we can? Yeah.
Him and Mac Jones had unbelievable chemistry. But yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's hurt. Like, I don't know. I'm just, everybody's looking at that. That one is, saying sometimes if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah.
That one, I'm like, there's somebody knows something that I don't, that this guy is available. All right, let's grab one quick call before we get Matt Dolphin here. My phone screener's not lined up, so Ryan, you're going to need to pull him up. RJ on the Cape. RJ, good morning.
Hey, love listening to you guys because there's not a lot of guys at the station that know a lot about college, and it can be very aggravating at times, and you guys are extremely knowledgeable, and I really appreciate what you have to say. Barth, I called you before the draft on this show, and I was dying for us to take Travion Henderson. I couldn't believe we actually took him at 34. You told me you actually liked Jenkins better, and I couldn't believe you said that. You were absolutely right. Do we need to get him in space? What do we need to do that real quick? And then one other thing, you guys are talking about the best DNs of all time. Yeah. Anyone that teams game plan to run at, just cross off your list. You're absolutely right about that as well. Myles Garrett is 100% one of the best DNs of all time. If he had a top 14 quarterback in the league, his team would go to the playoffs every year because of him. I don't know why they don't just go for a guy like Kirk Cousins, maybe his contract. I don't know. But yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about Travion, Barth. I thought it was going to be a Pollard, Elliott type of thing with Ramondre and Travion, and it doesn't look like it's working out that way. I don't like his vision, but hear what you guys have to say.
Thanks for the call, RJ. Yeah, it hasn't worked out to this point. The vision he mentioned, so it's weird because I thought Travion Henderson's field vision and patience. And to the caller's point, I did like Judkins better than Henderson. But I mean, they're both good players.
They both were good.
They're both. I just give me the running back the downhill running back that cracks skulls any day of the week. That's just a stylistic preference for me. The thing I really liked about TreVeyon Henderson was his field vision and his patience. And he is very fast, but he also knows when to not be fast and when to slow down and let it develop. And that hasn't been the case. And it just feels like the game's a little fast for him. Matt Dolph had a great take on the Patriots Hub podcast a couple weeks ago. Maybe he just needs to break one. And whatever ultimately leads to that, like, I think it's just kind of him seeing it. I thought he took a step forward against the Saints, and we didn't really see him last week. Today's going to be tough against his great run defense, but maybe he just needs to see it. Maybe he just needs to hit one, and then it's the monkey off the back, and you're off and rolling. But they do need to get him going. Let's talk to Matt Dolph about the Patriots run game, TreVeyon Henderson, and some more of this. He'll join us next, coming up here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. Hey, if you notice sticky doors and windows, cracks in brick, drywall, or your foundation, that's a sign of big problems, and it
He wanted to be in the building with us. Thanks
Barth,
for coming in, Matt.
First of all, thanks for having me on. But Barth, yes, I hate talking on the phone so much, especially if I have to do a radio interview. I live pretty close. It's like, I'll just come here and we'll spend some time together.
All right, pressure's on now because we got it crisp and clear. Let's pick up where we left off. Patriots facing number one run defense in the league in terms of yards per carry. You're going to have to run the ball to offset this pass rush. How do you feel about the Patriots' run game today in this spot?
I think they're going to have to take advantage of the Browns' aggression on defense in order to run the ball. So I think it's a big week for Josh McDaniels. It's a big week for Doug Marrone. Obviously, setting the pass protectors is going to be huge for them today. But it's also going to be the run schemes. Like, they're going to have to, Drake May is part of that too, obviously. They're going to have to see the field all with the same set of eyes, and they're all going to know when the right time is to run the ball and when to call the right plays and things like that. I think they're not going to be able to just line up and run the ball down the Browns' throat, I don't think. But this Browns defense, for all their aggression, like, that's the thing about an aggressive defense, Barth, is that you can exploit them if you're smart and you prepare and you have good playbook.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yes, exactly. We've seen a little bit of that with the Patriots defense with Mike Vrabel. But, yeah, I think it's going to be big for Josh McDaniels today to sort of take advantage of the aggression of that defense and sort of get the running backs in position to succeed where guys are sort of over-pursuing and, give them an open lane in the run game. I don't think they're just going to be able to line up and execute against this defense, so I think it's going to come down to some good play calling.
And to that point, do you see the Patriots then going out and basically spreading this team out and going quick? Can you see them in a lot of 4 and 5 wide sets, just spread the Browns out, that way you can see the field, see what's coming, and exploit them that way, knowing that it's going to be much harder to play AFC North football and try and run into these guys. But do you see them spreading them out and it being, again, back in Drake May's hands?
Yeah, so that reminds me of an old Brady game. I forget what season it was, but it was against the Detroit Lions back the last time they were good, when they had Matthew Stafford and I believe Jim Caldwell as the head coach. They had this really formidable pass rush, and I wish I could give you just a single name off that group, but like how are they going to handle this pass rush? And Tom Brady just spread them out and threw it sideways the whole game. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried something like that. And that's going to be sort of in Drake May's hands. He's going to have to drop back and make quick decisions with the ball. I think he's going to have to do that anyway. But I think that would be a pretty smart game plan to sort of neutralize the way they can get downhill up front, is to throw the ball horizontally, get yards after the catch, and limit the tightness up front there with the space that they can give spreading the offense out. So, yeah, I would compare it to that Lions game from, I forget what year it was.
I think it was 2014.
Yeah, well, what I should say is the Patriots won that game 34-10 or something like that.
34-9, very close. Tom Brady, 38 of 53 for 349 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was not sacked.
Exactly. Yeah, 53 pass attempts, 349 yards. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that today with Drake May.
Real quick, just to add to that.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, they played the NFC North that year. I think Minnesota, he did the same thing against Minnesota. They had those 2 D tackles, both Williams, and they never ran the ball against them at all. They just spread them out.
Oh, yeah. That was 2006. Yeah, that was a famous game, too. That was before Brady was really, before he took that huge step forward. They didn't even have receivers back then, and he was able to pull that off. But with May and Diggs and, Pop Douglas and Keyshawn, I think they should be able to pull off a game plan like that. I like that game plan. I didn't even think of it that way, but that's probably a smart way to approach this Browns defense.
Is Drake May ready for that?
See, look, the way he's playing lately, Barth, it feels like he's capable of anything, right?
All right.
He's capable of running any kind of system. He's capable of making any kind of throw. We came into the season wondering about his decision-making, the turnovers thing. 4 straight games without a turnover? I don't think we saw that coming at any point this year with Drake May.
And it's going to be hard this week. It's going to be hard against this defense. They forced 4 last week. I mean, against a bad Miami team, but they come for the football. And they're going to be doing that this week. And it's going to be May, and it's going to be Will Campbell in kind of tight spots here. How about on the other side of the ball? We haven't really touched on it as much. There's not a ton to talk about. Dylan Gabriel hasn't been good. He hasn't been good. And we might not even see Shadur Sanders today. He's dealing with a back injury. He was added to the injury report late as questionable. Bailey Zappi is the Browns' backup. The fever returns. You imagine if Zappi gets in this game? But
that would be unbelievable.
If the Browns
full circle kind of moment,
it really would be. Bailey Zappi, Drake May shootout. If the Browns get any sort of traction on offense today, how are they going to do that? What would worry you, if anything?
Would just be running the ball with Quinshon Judkins. And, yeah, Dylan Gabriel's not a guy that scares me. I actually thought of Cerrone because for all the years listening to Cerrone, he's more about talent than probably anybody else at the station. Talent wins. Talent is the key. I think Cerrone is going to be offended watching this Browns offense today and Dylan Gabriel. He doesn't have the size, doesn't have the arm. He's afraid to push the ball downfield. But I guess that's
deep passes all year.
Right. Well, that's one area where maybe it would concern me is if he's getting rid of the ball quickly and the guy's in open space and guys start to miss tackles. Like, I could see something like that happening. I don't see that happening for a full 60 minutes. So I think I would love to see the defense get off to a fast start for that reason, Bart. They haven't had good starts recently. And so the Browns, they're not the offense I want to see march right down the field and score a touchdown like we saw even with the Panthers a few weeks ago. Yeah. And Tennessee got off to a hot start. Like, can we not see that for 1 week with Dylan Gabriel and this Browns offense? But if they do move the ball, it'll be because Dylan Gabriel's getting rid of the ball quickly and Quinshon Judkins is making plays in space and they're missing tackles. I feel like a lot of things need to go well for that offense, for them just to keep up, let alone, put like a whole drive together.
I'll just add to that, especially if they don't have David Njoku, who's on the injury report. I think he's their best offensive player. Mm-hmm. I like Judkins. I think Njoku he's a guy that's really good after the catch. And the Patriots struggle with tight ends. So that's the one guy I'd worry about getting them Cerrone. But like if he's not playing, no excuse for that.
Do you think Dylan Gabriel's being misused? Do you think him coming out of that Oregon system with spread, it's fast and all this, and you come and it's a AFC North team, he just was going to line up in the eye and run the football? Do you think he's just being misused? Do you think there's a chance that one day he could become that guy if they were to spread things out for him?
Yeah, I mean, quick game kind of works for him, but I just don't think physically he's got the tools to get there. I think he needs to be impeccable with. He's gonna have like a Tom Brady level of decision making, Joe Burrow level of ball placement. Like all that stuff needs to be on point for him to be a really good starting quarterback. It just feels like the Browns blew that pick. They took him 30-something.
No,
was it later in the draft?
It was day two. It was day two. They took him higher than they probably should have. You're right.
Right, yeah.
The other thing, Cerrone, to your point, that Oregon offense just had a ton of talent that he doesn't have around him, and you need more talent than what the Browns have to run that offense. Again, we're talking to Matt Dolph, 985sportshub.com. I know I said we were just going to talk about the game, so sorry to put you on the spot, but just to pick up where we just were last segment, what are your thoughts going to the trade deadline, week from Tuesday? Do you expect a splash? Do you want a splash? Do they do anything? Do they sit on their hands? Like, what are you expecting?
I'm just saying this off the top of my head. I feel like Vrabel has made some splashes when he was with the Titans. Not that they were all good splashes. The A.J. Brown trade wasn't in the middle of the season, though, right?
No, that was at the draft.
That was at the draft. Okay, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to make a trade deadline splash, but I actually look at the Browns today.
Yeah.
If the Patriots get a win here, they might push the Browns into selling mode. There's connections there. I look at safety, Grant Delpit. That's a guy I would like. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. They just drafted Ronnie Hickman to play safety for him. I know different kinds of players, but Delpit's a guy that you can line up all over the field, veteran, smart. Like, I feel like he'd be a great fit for what the Patriots need.
Safety, sneaky need. That'd be a pretty big move if they could get Delpit. I wouldn't hate that. I'm with you. I think that, there's a couple guys on that team. As much as we're bemoaning the Browns not having talent, I'll say it again, Jerome Ford. Not only can he come in, be a depth running back, play in multiple roles, he returns kicks. And they need a kick returner. I like Afton Chisholm's upside as a receiver. He's not a kick returner. I just don't think that's his role. I'd really like to see them put Kyle Williams back there and give him a shot. He's warmed up with that group. I don't know how much work he's getting there in practice, but we've seen how important that the kickoff and the kickoff return is in the field position battle in today's game. To bring it back to today, Matt, it's a field position game. So we haven't really talked about them needing to figure out the kickoff return because I think it's just a personnel thing right now. They were doing it well when they had their guys, but that is something that could loom large today.
Yeah, look, two aggressive teams, two aggressive defenses playing field position. You could be looking at like a safety in the end zone, some kind of weird scoregami type score coming. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. Like if there's a play that changes the game where, even if it's just like a bad snap, because the pass rush is sort of getting to them.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully that's not on the Patriots side, but we did see it a couple weeks ago in New Orleans. Like, they've been getting away with a few things here and there. So, I mean, I think they could probably get away with it against the Browns today. I just don't want them to keep playing with fire like that. And so I hope the Patriots can be, on point with the play calling and the discipline, especially Josh McDaniels and Drake May, just pretty much knowing what to do when they're at the line and knowing where the open guy is. And so if they have limited space behind them and they're pinning their ears back, try to make more plays like he did when he made that throw to Stephon Diggs last week in Tennessee to really give them breathing room down the field. I hope they can make a few plays like that because the Browns defense is going to be aggressive pretty much the whole time. It doesn't, and they're especially going to be more aggressive if they're threatening to force a turnover for a touchdown or a safety or something like that. So looking for the Patriots to have some discipline on offense and be on point with their execution.
And last one for me, I guess, is excuse me. Do you see them in any way overlooking this team? Do you see them, same thing as we said with the Saints and with the Titans, do you see them looking at this team's record and saying, okay, we got Atlanta coming in here, well, on paper, a better team. Do you see any hint of them overlooking this team and thinking this is just the easy one they could just walk through?
No, I don't get that sense, Cerrone. Especially this 4-game win streak, you would have thought they would have overlooked one of these other opponents in the last few weeks, New Orleans, Tennessee, winning 3 straight games on the road, consecutive weeks. That's a sign of a team that doesn't overlook the current opponent. And I think Mike Vrabel, he's got everybody on the same page right now. I don't know that his game plans and the defensive play calling and all those things have been consistently strong or sharp, but he's got everybody buying in. I think that's kind of more important. If you don't have guys buying in, you kind of lose before you even take the field. So I'll take a team that might be overly aggressive and make some mistakes from time to time, but they got everybody pulling in the same direction. And I think that's part of Vrabel, his culture, and I think he's built a culture of not overlooking anybody. And I think that's why they're on this win streak in the first place.
Dolph, you're right. This is better in person.
It's so much better.
Great stuff. Great job. Check out more of Matt's work. He'll have ups and downs after the game. 98.5 thesportshub.com. We're going to change it up a little bit. Patriots Hub podcast post-game. We're going to do it tonight instead of tomorrow.
Yes.
So I don't know exactly what time that will be up. Probably right around the start of Sunday Night Football, I would think.
Nighttime.
So you can check that out on the Sports Hub YouTube page or Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. So, Dolph, I'll talk to you in a few hours. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Barthy.
All right, we'll be back. I want to talk about, we got to get our UNC check-in. I actually thought a really encouraging game for Belichick yesterday. Some other notable Belichick news as well. We'll do that and go around the league at 9 o'clock. Keep it here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Energy cost.
to his left, throws, it's caught, and Hall did not get in, and Virginia wins.
That was the end of the game yesterday for UNC and Virginia. Quick little Bill Belichick minute here with Cerrone Battle, boots on the ground in North Carolina. I actually thought, so one, right decision to go for two. That's just how you play that in college, as the underdog. Yeah. That's what you do. I actually thought that was a really encouraging game for North Carolina. Ultimately, they lost. That Virginia team, to me, is real. Well, they're not going to win the national championship, but they could very well be a playoff team. Chandler Morris is a good quarterback. They fly around, They beat Florida State, which in retrospect maybe wasn't as good of a win as we thought, but like they've played some impressive football this year. I don't think
7 in a row. I think they won 7 games straight.
Look, I don't think they're that far off from Clemson, who obviously housed UNC a couple weeks ago. So I don't know like how you felt about it, how people feel there, but if I'm a UNC fan, like I actually feel pretty good coming away from that game about the long term, or I guess not long term, but like. Yeah, okay, maybe they actually are building to something here because that game felt like a building to something game.
Well, you got this 2 plays, inches away. This team should have won the last 2 games.
Yeah.
The fumble at the one against Cal.
Another good team.
Yesterday, first drive of the game, receiver reaches out to touch the pylon to get the touchdown. He fumbles centimeters before he touches it. Ball's loose in his hand as he's reaching out. They call a touchback, take 7 points off the board. And you lose a game like that. They shut Virginia down most of the game. And that touchdown, if they would have got that touchdown in the first quarter, they would have held on long enough to win that game. They should have won their last 2 games. Now, if the first month of the season didn't go the way it did, I think everybody will be very encouraged. But now it's just trying to figure out a way for this team to get a win. And now instead of getting blown out, they're losing these heartbreakers by inches. And it's tough, but you can see them, especially defensively.
Yeah.
Turning into a real football team, a real program, and we'll see how it goes and how it carries them. But they should have won the last 2 games of the season.
They've got I think they have like a freshman quarterback that has some buzz, but Gio Lopez isn't it.
Yeah,
they got to go in the portal in the offseason, get a quarterback again. Maybe this.
I thought Johnson would be playing by now, but
I thought Johnson was going to start. He's such a Bill Belichick type quarterback, but. Yep. They got to figure that thing out. But on defense, that's what realistically, it was always, if they had success, it was going to be on defense, like defensive driven. It's a Bill Belichick team. That's how he does it. It does feel like they're making moves defensively. This comes, meanwhile, as Bill Belichick moves on to the next round of voting for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So they changed the way they did this a couple years ago. There's now 4 committees. There's the Modern Era Committee, which is what everybody thinks of as the traditional Hall of Fame voting. There's the Coaches Committee. There is the Contributor Committee, which is like owners and stuff. And then there's the Seniors Committee, which is players who played before 2000. So giving them another chance to get a step. Patriots represented in all 4. So they have 9 former Patriots in the modern era. The big names there: Vince Wilfork, Rodney Harrison, Adam Vinatieri, Logan Mankins. They have Belichick and the coaches, who, by the way, there's no excuse for him to not get in. Tom Coughlin, Alex Gibbs, Mike Holmgren, Dan Reeves, Marty Schottenheimer, Mike Shanahan are some of the names. Holmgren was the finalist last year from that group. They are also representing the contributor with Robert Kraft. And then the Seniors Committee, Stanley Morgan, all-time leader in yards per catch, receivers with at least 500 catches, 19.2 yards from reception over 14 years.
Back then, that's insanity.
That's ridiculous. Right. Thank you. He's kind of a long-term snub. So feels like the Patriots should get at least one. Well, look, they should get Belichick. I mean, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he could go in. I mean, Kraft should have a chance. We've said that for a long time. Rodney and Vinatieri are ridiculous snubs. I've talked about that. There are some other big names, like Roger Craig is up in the Seniors Committee. There's a couple other like notable names in that one. I'm trying to remember some of the other guys who are on there. Jim Marshall, Carl Banks, Steve Tasker. So he's got a little more competition. But I don't know if any of those names stand out to you. It feels like this could be after Vinatieri gets snubbed last year, and we've complained a lot about how the Patriots, the dynasty teams, are underrepresented. And obviously Stanley Morgan doesn't apply to that. But do we get multiple Hall of Famers this year from the Patriots?
I saw a thing the other day, and it showed the number of Hall of Famers that all the dynasties got, like the Steelers and Packers and they all got like 8 guys went in on those teams that had success for 6-7 years or whatever. And by those metrics, Rodney, Vince Wilfork, Adam Vinatieri, and Bill Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. Because if the object of the game, if it's all based on winning, this team should have been represented in the Hall of Fame for being as dominant as they were for 20 years. And look, I think Adam Vinatieri is a Hall of Famer. He's the greatest at his position of all time. Rodney Harrison, we've gone over this. Statistically, there aren't many better safeties to ever play this game of Rodney Harrison. He should have, and he's got the Super Bowls to add on top of it. Rodney should be in. Vince Wilfork in his time was one of the best interior linemen in football for a good while. And Belichick, of course. I mean, Belichick, Kraft, Vinatieri, Rodney Harrison should be in the Hall of Fame. And anything outside of getting them in is some kind of behind the scenes hate or holding them back, Spygate, stuff like that. But as far as them winning in statistics and all that stuff, from the owner down to their D linemen and special teams, those guys should have been in the Hall of Fame, and it shouldn't take this long to put those guys in.
Well, and I'll just add this with Belichick. I would feel similar about Belichick the way I felt about Vinatieri last year. Like, Vince Wilfork's a Hall of Famer. I understand if he's not a first ballot guy.
Yeah, I can wait on Vince.
I understand that. Belichick more so than Vinatieri. Like, I thought it was horrible that Vinatieri was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's the league's all-time leading scorer. Belichick, I mean, come on. So
what are we doing?
That one
Mike Holmgren over Belichick?
Like, a massive slap in the face. I'll give you one more, technically a former Patriot, but this guy's sneaky strong Hall of Fame case, and he's been on the ballot for a few years now. Torrey Holt, who was here for a cup of coffee in training camp, obviously spent most of his career at the Rams. From 2000 to 2009, so that decade, the odds, right? No wide receiver had more catches or receiving yards than Torrey Holt in the 2000s. And I'd say that was a pretty good decade for a receiver play, Cerrone. And he's fifth in touchdowns with 68. The only other player who's top five in all three is Marvin Harrison. He got in first ballot. And another comp for Holt, Isaac Bruce has been in, who was on those Greatest Show on Turf teams. So I don't know how much Patriots fans are going to claim Torrey Holt, but Torrey Holt should be in the Hall of Fame. Like that's also kind of, again, all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's
pretty impressive.
That's very impressive when you actually break it down. And he played with another guy that's in the Hall of Fame and had a Hall of Fame running back, so he wasn't getting targeted as much as some of these other guys and still put the numbers up.
The rest of the Greatest Show on Turf that should be in is in. I'm not going to campaign for Azahar Hakeem or anything.
Yeah.
Or Yo Murphy, but
Torrey Holt should be in, but I think what happened with him, I'm just this is personal. Because they tried to stick it to Terrell Owens, they made every receiver after that not first ballot. You know what I'm saying? Like, since we made him wait, we can't just automatically throw Torrey Holt or some of these other guys right in. And I think that's cold. You shouldn't have made Terrell Owens wait, first of all.
Certainly not.
Not at all. That should have been automatic.
That was the moment that I lost faith in the Hall of Fame voters. That was the one that, and he was not even a Patriot, but that was the one that really broke me. That, look, Marvin Harrison was a good player. He was not better than Terrell Owens. He should not have gotten in over Terrell Owens. No. That was incorrect. All right, we're way past it. Let's check the headlines. No, I'll go on Hall of Fame all the time. But let's get back to the modern era. We'll go around the league next after the headlines. 90 seconds, no commercials on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Tell Your Time Studios, WBC-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Patriots back at home today, taking on the Cleveland Browns. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Coverage begins at 10 o'clock right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Giants and Eagles meet up in the 1 o'clock window. Cowboys and Broncos at 4:25 tonight. It's the Packers and the Steelers. A couple of ranked matchups in college football yesterday. Number 3, Texas A&M blows out LSU in Baton Rouge. Number 8, Ole Miss took care of business against number 13, Oklahoma. And number 10, Vanderbilt keeps rolling. They beat number 15, Missouri. The Bruins picked up a 3-2 win last night against the Colorado Avalanche. The Celtics play later today when they visit the Detroit Pistons. Coverage starts at 3 o'clock on our sister station, 105.7 WROR. And the World Series is even at 1 game apiece after the Dodgers beat the Blue Jays 5-1 last night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center with 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, and high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center. Urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 Sports Hub. Your next update during Patriots pregame.
Pasternak, and he scores! What a blast by Pasternak!
The Bruins play here.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me! Pick me!
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Pick the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
All right, well past it, but we do have 6 buys. So that'll help us out a little bit as we go around the NFL in Week 8 of the National Football League. Let's start with Thursday night, Cerrone, the Chargers and the Vikings. They were super on Thursday night, 37-10 over the Vikings. That quarterback situation's not looking good. Carson Wentz was not great in that game. He had to play hurt because they still don't trust J.J. McCarthy to play.
I don't know how they didn't put him in the game. Carson Wentz was almost screaming in pain at points, and they still wouldn't put him in the game. That's pretty tough. But the Chargers, you see what happens when you get your tackle back. You know, Joel comes back, all of a sudden the offense was unstoppable. They were running the ball. They had the fullback putting in work. Great game by the Chargers and good bounce back win for them.
Or even see what you have in Max Brosmer, the UNH kid. Figure out what we have in him. Yeah, I was surprised. Good win for the Chargers, though. Let's go to today. We'll start with the 1-6 Dolphins at the 3-3 Falcons.
This one is the Red Stallions.
So last week, Tua throws his teammates under the bus for talking about guys not showing up to meetings. And then Mike McDaniel throws the players after the bus in this game, saying it was about them not trying hard enough. Then Tua comes out this week and says he can't see over the line or something. It feels like they're in a race to see who's going to lose their job first. Mike McDaniel also snubbing Quinn Ewers after his first NFL drive, which is just terrible. Like, it shows one monochrome of leadership, please. God, that guy's annoying. But Miami says they're not going to make a change. So Dolphins 7.5-point dogs going into Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, if they're like, all right, we're not going to fire anybody, we're not going to bench Tua or whatever. Like, all right, fine, let's just play football. And they'll watch them go out there and beat Atlanta today. But, you know, Atlanta should win this game. It should be a blowout. But I think Penix is really banged up. So I'm still going to take Atlanta to win this game, but not in the blowout that I want to see this afternoon. Get right game for the Falcons. I believe it is going to be Kirk Cousins who is starting. I don't think they let that down to a game-time decision. Yeah, it is Kirk Cousins. Good spot for Kirk Cousins. Showcase himself before the trade deadline. Atlanta big. More than covered at 7.5. 4-2 Bears at 1-5 Ravens.
You humiliated me, dude, on national television. So I want restitution.
I believe no Lamar Jackson. I think I just heard Ryan say to me in my ears. Okay. So it is going to be Tyler Huntley again against Caleb Williams. So the line was Ravens 6.5. I guess I got to pull up a live one on this, but tough to trust the Ravens without Lamar. Yeah, I mean, they're struggling, but I think they got all their defensive players back, and I think that's the thing that's been hurting them the most. But this would be a big win for the Bears if they can go into Baltimore and win this game, and this could be it for the Ravens if they go out there and get a bad L. But I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take the Ravens in a close one because I think their defense and run game will show up today. Ravens still favored by 3. Wow. I'm going to take the Bears. Take the Bears to cover that. 4-2 Bills at 4-3 Panthers.
What's that bear doing?
Look at Bear.
Panther.
That's Sir Purr, bro.
Who?
Sir Purr.
How you say that?
Sir Purr.
Sir Purr. Oh, Sir Purr.
Robbie Chosen's still in the league, by the way. Catching passes from Mac Jones, right, in San Francisco. The Bills 7.5-point favorites going into Carolina. It's a big number. That's kind of high. I think people are really sleeping on Carolina, who's sitting there at 4-3, and they out of nowhere have one of the better running backs in the league. They can run the ball. They got size on the outside, and they're at home. Until the Bills show me that they're back, I'm taking Carolina in this one. So rare pick for me. I'm going to take the Bills to actually cover that 7.5. 2 bad losses, then the bye. This is a put up or shut up game for Buffalo. They've been really good out of the bye the last few years. So I'm going to take the Bills to cover that. I do think I'm with you. I think people are sleeping on Carolina. I do think they get a little bit of a reality check today, though. 0-7 Jets at 3-4 Bengals.
It don't make no sense. It's only my calf.
You take anything for the game?
Yeah. Viagra.
That'll make your turn.
Bengals 6.5-point favorites.
Look, I need Flacco to have a big game. He's my quarterback in fantasy today because Lamar couldn't play.
Oh, Lamar, okay.
Give me the Bengals. The Bengals are going to win this game. I just hope they win it in blowout fashion. I want to see the Bengals really blow the Jets out. Give Bengals at home.
I think they win it big. Jets are a mess. I like what I saw from Flacco last week. Give me the Bengals. I'm with you. The 5-2 Niners at the 2-4 Texans.
JJ Wow. Little JJ Wow. That's what we used to call him.
Mac Jones still the guy in San Francisco, but the Niners 1.5-point dogs going into Houston.
Give me the Niners. Houston is down both receivers, I believe, in this game. Give me the Niners. Niners in a blowout.
They're just also playing well. Mac Jones, 4-1 as a starter, by the way. And look, there's other things that are contributing to that, but he's been solid. Give me the Niners. Certainly that thin of a line. I think it's going to be close, but not that close. We'll get back to Patriots-Browns. I'll tell you the Patriots 7.5-point favorite. This is also the lowest total of the week, 40.5 points. So maybe not a lot of scoring today down at Gillette. Let's wrap up the 1 o'clock window with the 2-5 Giants at the 5-2 Eagles.
This past offseason, some clown named Mike Lombardi told him that he was the least qualified head coach in the NFL.
That one hits a little different this week. Pablo Torre going at Mike Lombardi, if you missed that. The Eagles looking for revenge from Thursday Night Football just 2 weeks ago. Quick games here. Yeah. That game was 34-17 in the Meadowlands. Eagles 7.5-point favorites today at the Link.
I expect some serious get back here. I think the Eagles really blow the Giants out. Giants they've blown some bad ones and they got a little mess. The head coach is short $100,000 now. Give me the Eagles in this one.
Give me the Eagles. I'm with you. I think they get the revenge. Let's go to the 4 o'clock window. The 5-2 Bucks at the 1-6 Saints.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
No Mike Evans for Tampa. They're still favored by 4.5.
Yeah, give me Tampa. They're such a superior team in this situation. Big division matchup, but give me the Buccaneers in this one. Big.
I'm with you. Give me Tampa. The 4:25 game is the 3-1 Cowboys at the 5-2 Broncos.
They're going to kick it. They're going to kick it.
Kick what?
Kicking the field goal.
What?
Expecting more than field goals today. 51 points, highest total around the league between these two teams. Broncos favored by 3.5.
In my opinion, game of the week. This is the game to watch the whole weekend. But give me the Broncos at home in a serious shootout. But this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Kind of says a lot about this schedule that this is the game of the week. This is a little bit of a weaker slate, I'll say, compared to the last couple of weeks. I'll take Dallas to go in and pull off the upset. Denver's been just flirting with disaster a little too much the last few weeks. I know they've won 4 in a row, but it feels like the wheels are going to come off at some point. I'll take Dallas to go in there and shut them up. Last 4 o'clock game, the 1-6 Titans at the 6-1 Colts.
What was the plan?
I don't know. I mean, completely nuts.
So you had that last one as the game of the week, Cerrone. Have to watch. Now, these are both on CBS at 4:25, so you may not have the option to flip between the two. But this one's the opposite. Biggest spread of the week. Colts, 14.5-point favorites against the Tennessee Titans.
They haven't been that much of a favorite since Peyton Manning was there. But, man, give me the Colts in a – this is the one you actually should watch because no one's respecting the Colts and no one knows what they do well, but they do everything well. Give me the Colts in a big blowout.
No team has a better record in the NFL than the New England Patriots other than the Colts. Some teams are tied with the Patriots. The only team with a better record than the Patriots right now is the Indianapolis Colts.
And they're smoking people, too.
That should hit a certain level of nostalgia, as Chris Ballard once said, that rivalry is back on. Tonight, I didn't pick that one. Yeah, give me the Colts, too. I usually don't pick 14.5 spreads, but Tennessee's not it. 4-1-1 Packers at 4-2 Steelers.
I'm saying, how does Pittsburgh work? Am I constantly going in and out of Pittsburgh throughout the day, yes or no?
No.
Great clip. Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh facing his former team. Steelers 3.5-point dogs.
Give me the Packers in this one. Steelers still turning the ball over, still throwing interceptions, and just struggling to get downfield except for when they play the Bengals. But give me the Packers in this one in a good one, 24-20, something like that.
Give me the Steelers. I think you're getting the best version of Aaron Rodgers tonight. You're getting a pissed off Aaron Rodgers tonight. Give me the Steelers. And then tomorrow night, this was supposed to be a good game. 3-4 Commanders at 4-3 Chiefs.
Explain it again with those nuggies.
So this one had a chance to be fun. I mean, it still might be, but no Jane Daniels for the Commanders. It'll be Marcus Mariota because of that Chiefs 12.5-point favorites.
I think that number's really high. I think reputation to the Chiefs here, but Commanders got everybody else back except for Jaden Daniels. I think the Chiefs win, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than 11.5, 12.
I think the Chiefs win by 2 touchdowns. They're in a rhythm right now. They got things rolling. I think they're in good shape, and they'll lead up on a backup quarterback. 6 bye weeks this week. Get your fantasy lineup set. The Cardinals, Lions, Jaguars, Rams, Raiders, and Seahawks all off this week, and that is Week 8, the National Football League. Back to Patriots Browns next here on Sports Up Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
Off Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin behind the glass. Let's get to your phones. You guys have been hanging on patiently. We'll start with Randy in Providence. If you can pull him up, Ryan. Randy, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Alex. How you doing today?
Good. What do you got?
Yeah, I was calling. I think that this is a good game between the Patriots. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring, like you were talking about the total. I'm thinking something like 20 points for the Patriots, 9 for the Cleveland. But I think you attack these guys on the wings, on the boundary. Their cornerbacks haven't been playing great. Denzel Ward has had his worst year last year, and coming into this year, he's still allowing like an 83-point rating and like 12 yards per catch. Tyson Campbell over there, he's had a couple all right games. He had the one pick six, so it's kind of like a highlight play. But otherwise, since he got to Cleveland, he's given up 23 yards per reception. And over 5 years in Jacksonville, he allowed a 62% completion rating, 12 yards per reception, and 100 quarterback rating. And then more importantly, the middle of the field there. Miles Harden, he's in his second year. He's only had 7 games. Giving up 81% completion rating. And then Schlesinger and Devin Bush there. Not great in pass coverage. Not a lot of missed tackles with Schlesinger, but just not great in pass coverage. Between the two of them, they're also giving up 80% catches, nearly 10 yards per reception. And Schlesinger himself has given up 3 passing touchdowns in coverage. So I think that's the way we attack them. You know, you obviously got to move the pocket away from Garrett, maybe roll Drake out to the right, and just go attack that middle of the field and attack the boundaries a bit. I think you guys were talking about trade targets in this game. What about Joel Bitonio? Or even Ethan Pochich. They've got those 2 real solid interior offensive linemen. Jared Wilson, over the course of the season, has proven to be, sound a little harsh, but a little bit of a weak point. He doesn't look big or strong enough to kind of hold that guard spot. Joel Bitonio is, and I don't think a guy that age at a left guard spot is really going to cost you a lot of draft capital. Is it worth it to kind of shore up that spot? They drafted Luke Whippler 2 years ago. He's a real promising center out of Ohio State. Maybe they think it's time to get him on the field.
Thanks for the call, Randy. I want to go back to something he said earlier in that, attacking the corners. And this is something that you brought up, Cerrone. So he mentioned that those guys have struggled. You also have Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell were limited most of the week in practice. Ward is dealing with a hip injury. Campbell's dealing with a quad injury. The quick hitters to the outside, get those guys out in space, make them tackle. Yeah. Make them tackle one-on-one. The rollouts as well. The Browns are one of what's been one weakness of what's otherwise been a very good Browns defense. And part of this is because of how aggressive they are. They have not been good against rollouts, moving pockets, that sort of thing. So moving Drake May out gets him away from that pass rush, and you also maybe get the defense to bite on some things, create some windows. That's going to be more effective if you can run the ball. So the Patriots are going to need to come out and try to establish the run in this one.
Yeah, and if you look at the Browns, the games they've played this year, and Joe Burrow, obviously, they played week 1. They lost that game. And the Titans was 17-16. Yeah. But they played Lamar Jackson. He gets 41 points on them. They had the game against the Packers that they won. I don't know how they won that game. But then they played the Lions, Jared Goff, 34 points they gave up. So you get 41 to Lamar, 34 to Detroit. Then Carson Wentz got him, gave up 21 points to there. Steelers got him 23-9. And then, of course, the Dolphins game. They've had their games where they've been had defensively. And you're saying Dylan Gabriel, he's not turning the ball over. And so it's not because he's turning the ball over and they get these points. Teams are getting the big play on them from time to time. And I think you just have to not fumble the ball. You can't take, drive-killing sacks or penalties. But they're going to give you an opportunity to make the big play. And I think the Patriots have to be patient and wait for that. But they're going to give you the window. And the Patriots have to capitalize like Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers did. You got to capitalize when they give you the window to make that play. But I think that those opportunities are going to be there.
Let's go to Patty in Agawam, if you can pull him up, Ryan. Patty.
Hey, what's going on, Cerrone? What's going on, Alex?
Hey.
What's up? Hey, so before I get to my point, Alex, I just want to say I'd put for your your initial question, I would put Myles Garrett third behind Reggie White and Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith, just because of the longevity factor, he reminds me a lot more of Bruce Smith than he does White. White could do it all, Alex. I watched him play almost his whole career. He was just so friggin' dominant. And I think Myles Garrett has a chance to get there. He's just got to keep on his track, and he'll get there. He'll get to that point. He's in Adonis, man. But here's what I wanted to talk about. I've heard this brought up, but not really. I don't think a lot of people are putting a lot of stock into this. That Vrabel has intimate knowledge of how the Browns want to run their offense, and to me, and not only that, Schwartzy was on his Tennessee staff for 2 years, so he has a good working knowledge of how that Browns team, the entire Browns team, from top to bottom, is going to want to attack us. And you remember Super Bowl 37, Buccaneers versus Raiders, how big of a bloodbath that was.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are picking a low-scoring game. I think this is going to be. I think the Pats have a real opportunity to blow these guys out, especially if the big factor, Mr. Captain Obvious, is, blocking Myles Garrett. I think if they can, chip him and work to his side, to keep him blocked and keep Drake May clean. I picked 27-10 earlier in the week. I think it could be bigger than that. And I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Thanks for the call, Patty. I do think that there's an element of the inside knowledge. Mike Reese wrote about this in his notes this morning. In linebackers coach Mike Smith talked about it, situationally, what they might be thinking, things like that. Players still got to execute. So it's it's one thing to know what the other team's doing. It's another thing to stop it. Mm-hmm. So it does come down to that.
Still got to get open. Still got to make catches and block.
I do think there is a little bit of a factor there. Definitely Mike Vrabel. But the other thing is the Browns are one of the most analytically driven teams in football. You just kind of figure out what their formulas are and you can figure it out. You just punch it into your calculator. So it's going to help, though. I mean, I do think it's an advantage. There was more of a grudge element to that Gruden Super Bowl. Vrabel has, since the day he was hired in New England, been very appreciative of everything the Browns did for him. There's no ill will there, or at least if there is, he's done a very good job of hiding it, whereas Gruden was rightfully livid. But, hey, no, I mean, I do think that knowledge from Vrabel and some of the other guys on this staff will help, absolutely.
Yeah, and his other point about, Garrett and what he can do to his team, I think we could see a situation where a lot of these defensive ends who are on bad teams, and Max Crosby's dealing with this a little bit, Henderson in Cincinnati, I think you can still see him have a great game and the score still not be close. You know what I'm saying? I think he can end up with a couple sacks and a couple tackles for loss and just be disruptive in the ground game, and the Patriots can still win this game by a couple touchdowns. I think what could potentially happen here is that the Patriots get so many cracks at it that they eventually get a high-scoring game. It's not because they're executing and hitting all these big plays. Look, they got 30. I think there's going to be so many 3-and-outs by Cleveland that the Patriots are going to get so many chances that you can see them scoring once every quarter. Just one touchdown a quarter and maybe a play defensively here or there. And that makes it look like a complete blowout. But I think it's simply because the other team is just giving it right back to you over and over again. And eventually they break one. May gets out, scrambles a few times. You get a couple plays. You get last week, the fumble by Ward, where you get a 7 points off of that. Little things like that can make this game a high-scoring game, but I don't think it will be that way because of the Patriots, going up and down the field over and over again. I think this is going to get a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances to score points, and that's how they reach their high number today.
All right, let's break this one down a little more. Patty mentioned, and you mentioned, the attention you pay to Myles Garrett. What exactly does that look like? How will the Patriots try to neutralize him in this Browns defense? We'll talk about that next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
They got a guy, Miles Garrett, on. Yeah, this guy's a home wrecker, right?
This guy is, hopefully he's not a home wrecker, but hopefully he's an excellent player. He is a dynamic. He's got great length, great burst, speed. It's not like just a one-trick pony. He plays with power, plays with speed. He has excellent bend and avoid and great instincts. He's a challenge, and he's excellent. And so Schwartzy is a friend. He worked in Tennessee with us. He coached there before I got there. He helped us in Tennessee. And so he's done a great job in Cleveland, and he's got that defense playing really fast and really good.
It was Mike Vrabel this week on Myles Garrett. Back here on Sports Up Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin behind the glass. So what are they going to do about him? You heard the head coach rave about him. What are they going to do about him?
Oof.
Honestly, to me, it's a little of everything. So I mentioned in that last segment, rollout should be a big part of it. Rollout, move the pocket. You can even roll out. Now, I'd mostly roll Drake May out to the right because he's better that way. It's more natural motion. This may sound a little counterintuitive. I would mix in a couple rollouts towards Garrett's side.
Yeah.
Because you're going to upset his timing. It's going to give you an opportunity to maybe bring somebody back in and crack him. And they were susceptible on a couple of those plays. I think it was the Vikings a couple weeks ago got him on a few of those rollout left plays. So that's something you can do. I think we're going to see them use tight ends and running backs to chip. I think we're going to see them leave tight ends and running backs in and go 6, maybe even 7-man protections. I wouldn't rule out at times them using a 6 offensive lineman. I liken it to, remember Calvin Johnson? They would just line 2 corners up opposite of him.
Yeah.
And it was just very there really was no, we're going to try to catch him off guard. And it was just very blunt. 2 to cover 1.
2 gunners.
Do you throw another tackle over there? Do you throw Marcus Bryant over there? Do you throw Caden Wallace over there and go 6-on-1? I think we see a little bit of all of it. It's not going to be every single one on every single play. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they'll mix and match. I think you see a little bit of all of that. And because it's a new challenge. Like TJ Watt, Max Crosby, really good players, but they line up on the right side. They were up against Morgan Moses, and Morgan Moses did a good job. Morgan Moses isn't coming to save you today. It's Will Campbell, it's Jared Wilson, it's the rookies. When they do move Garrett, I wonder if they move him inside and try to hunt the matchup with Jared Wilson, who has struggled a bit at times. So it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous challenge, and you can't overextend to the point. So they did this a little bit against Pittsburgh. They were so worried about TJ Watt. Nick Herbert got him, right? Yeah. So Malik Collins, hell of a player. Alex Wright, good player. They've got some other guys that can give you a little bit of a rush. Mm-hmm. You can't go so hard at Garrett that, now Malik Collins, Garrett, Bradbury one-on-one is not a good matchup for the Patriots. So there's a balancing act here. This is the best front that they've faced. This might be the best front they're going to face. It's a big, I'm not the first one to say it, it's a big game for Josh McDaniels. He's going to have to get creative in how he goes about getting this thing blocked.
Do you see a situation to where could this be the game that solidifies Will Campbell? You think this is the game where if he holds up with Myles Garrett in this situation, could this be a game that springboards this kid into the Pro Bowl? Do you think this is the game of his rookie season? If he holds up this week, for a fact that you got a long-term potential Pro Bowl left tackle on your hands. Is this Will Campbell's big moment?
Yes and no. I mean, it obviously is. He's going up against a first ballot Hall of Famer and all of that. I just don't think we're going to see a ton of opportunities where it's Will Campbell one-on-one with Myles Garrett for 3 to 4 seconds, right? Maybe on some quick release plays, it's, hey, just get him cut or something like that. But so, yes, I think that people are going to look a lot at what Will Campbell does against Myles Garrett, even with the help, and that's going to be something that's talked about quite a bit. But there is going to be a lot of help there. If you're expecting to watch the two of them go one-on-one for 60 minutes, I would hope that that's not going to be the case. And that's nothing against Campbell. I don't think there's one tackle in this league that I would say, yeah, leave him one-on-one with Myles Garrett. There isn't. Joe Thomas is the one guy you'd say that about, and they never face each other, obviously. So it's not a bad thing that Campbell needs help. Any tackle in this game, I think, would need help.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it, though. So, Myles Garrett's going to get sacked today. He's a sack-a-game guy. He's played the Patriots 3 times. He has 4 sacks. He had 1 sack the 2 times he played the Patriots when McDaniels was the OC, and then in the 2022 game, he had 2 sacks. Mm-hmm. So, that's the more important thing. And people are going to think that this is me making excuses. I'm just going to say this because I feel this way. Myles Garrett getting a sack today is not, that doesn't mean Will Campbell failed. Now, if he has 3 sacks, that's another story. Because you can't just let the guy go wild. I get he's a great player, but you get paid too. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the narrative comes out of it, because I just think there's an expectation of Myles Garrett's. There needs to be an expectation of Myles Garrett's going to get his. It's, do you limit it to a minimum? Do you limit it in the big moments? Right? So again, I think Myles Garrett's going to have a sack today. Does he have it on 2nd and 3 in the first quarter and the Patriots finish the drive with the score anyway? Or does he have it on 3rd and 7 late in the game on a crucial
2 minutes
play?
And 30 seconds left.
Right. So there's obviously a lot of context that comes with it, but it's the matchup to watch. Will Campbell and help, and whatever help they give him and how they give him help against Myles Garrett. If the Browns are going to have a shot at this game, they have to win that matchup decisively. And, strip sacks or forcing bad passes or whatever, that's how they're going to do it.
I think that's the trap. As you were saying, that I think that's the trap. That's the strategy, is to get you to sacrifice an offensive weapon to help on him, so you have one less guy out there. You know what I'm saying? If you leave a running back in, if you leave a tight end to help, I think that's the strategy, to get you to sacrifice a weapon to help block and help your left tackle out or wherever he lines up. And I think in a weird way, I think you have to resist that. I think getting the ball out quick, I think getting it to the running backs in space. I think Trayvon Henderson, he's struggling running between the tackles, but I still want to see this cat in space with a linebacker on a one-on-one, something like that, along those lines. I want to see them spread them out and get rid of the ball quickly and still have 5 options out there to throw the ball to, as opposed to leaving one guy in. Now you just got 4. I think the best way to get them is to resist leaving somebody in to help with this guy. Or if it's just a chip, where you get a chip and he's get out, as opposed to leaving a guy in to help block. I think that's what the Browns want you to do. And I think you got to kind of resist it in certain moments.
I think you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
I do think you can quick release with 4 receivers. Yeah, that's another one. Like Drake May being his own best pass protector today. The best thing they can do, though, is establish the run. And this, in terms of yards per carry, it's the number 1 run defense in the league. They're allowing 3.3 yards per carry. What I think is wilder, in terms of yardage allowed, rushing yards allowed, they're 4th. They've allowed 577 in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
For a team that has trailed as much as they have.
Yeah, I think they've only given up 200 attempts.
Right. To just, in terms of the volume, you can allow 3.3 yards per carry, but it's all right, our teams are running 300 times on them because they're ahead in every game. This is a very, very hard team to run on. So what does a successful run game look like for the Patriots? They don't need to run for 170 yards again like they did against the Titans. It'd be great if they do it. I think they probably won the game big. But they don't need to do that. They don't need to run for 5 yards a carry like they did against the Titans. But it can't be what it was against the Browns. It can't be a non-factor. Because the reality is the Browns can stop the run without trying to stop the run.
Yeah.
So they're not going to need to send extra resources there. You need to give them a reason to send extra resources. It's going to be those 4, 5, 6-yard runs. You're not going to get much more than that. This team, part of what makes them so good, they do not allow big runs. They've only allowed 13 runs of 10 or more yards this season. Mike Vrabel brought up this week, both of their tackles, Delpit, Hickman, are very good tacklers. That last line defense, you're not getting through there. So,
and one thing you got to add into it with Garrett, it's not just him getting to the quarterback on the pass rush. If Drake May thinks he's going to outrun him every single time, that's not a given.
No.
He can run you down. It can be a 2-3 yard gain for May, but Garrett can run you down from behind.
And he's going to be coming for the football when he does.
Yeah.
So establishing a traditional ground game, can they get up around 4 yards a carry? I think would be huge for them in this game. Whether it's Stevenson, Henderson, again, they got to get Henderson going. If this is the week he breaks out, I mean, great. I wouldn't bet on it just because, again, it's he struggles all those other weeks. Oh, best run defense in the league. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
But they do need to establish some sort of representative ground game today in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think just being consistent with it, the way you're not too predictable in the pass game will help.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're expecting to get 150 yards rushing, but I do expect them to get a ton of carries and watch Stevenson with the ball, not fumbling, because they're going to come after the ball. This is a team that knows their offense struggles to score. So they're going to be reaching for that ball. They're going to be trying to strip it away. And I think ball security, again, for Stevenson is going to be huge because they're coming after it. But you have to figure out a way to kind of keep them on their heels and keep them guessing, except for obvious passing situations.
Yeah.
But I think everything you do has to be quick. I think you can't play a slow, like I said, AFC North game. Everything has to be quick. Getting on the ball quick, snapping it quick, giving them so they can't get a read on what you're trying to do and be very decisive with the ball. I think this one's all on Drake May. I think he can have a pretty big game, not statistically with the yardage, but I think he can find a way to get this team in the end zone quite a few times. So I'm expecting a big day from Drake May, but I think they get a lot of chances, a lot of cracks at it, and that's how they find a way to get, I think they're going to get around 28, 30 points.
Real quick on the other side of the ball for the Browns, just tackle. They really can't create beyond what, they'll get what you give them, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of short passes, a lot of focus on the run game, and they have some players that are good with the ball in their hands. Njoku, Fannin, Judkins. But if you tackle them at the point of contact, and it's a bad line, so the point of contact should be relatively immediate, especially in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
If you just step up and tackle them, and they've been a lot better at tackling the first few weeks, there's really not going to be much there for them. There isn't. I'd like to see this defense force a turnover, but it's the one thing the Browns have been really good about on offense is not turning the ball over. So, maybe you force some punts, flip the field, create short fields that way. But it's really just if you tackle when you should tackle, the Browns can't do much beyond that.
Yeah, and you have to. I mean, we've talked briefly about Judkins and his ability. Yeah. He's a burner. He is a burner. He can get out there. And I think the difference between him and Henderson is just touches and opportunities. He's getting a lot of reps. And the game is slowed down for him, so he's making those plays. But if you're trying to get, if he's out in the passing game and you miss, he's going to burn you. And the same thing with the receivers on the outside. They're not dominant, but if you go for interceptions and you miss, and then that safety misses that tackle, that's the big play they need. And now they've got confidence. So you just have to be, really fundamental. Like you said, tackle anything if you catch it in front of you. Force them into the 3 and outs. They're going to give it back. They're going to kick it back to you. But don't be so aggressive that you miss, key tackling situations or you're going for the ball or something like that. Just be real fundamental with this team, and you should come out of here with a win.
All right, we'll wrap it up next with our game picks. It's Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub. Doors creaking. is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your home for Patriots football. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, Patriots-Browns coming up next. Jim Murray, Chris Gasper will have you covered from Gillette, Patriots pregame. You'll also catch some of my weekly interview with David Andrews in that. Kickoff at 1 with Bob and Zoe, and then Joe Murray and Mark Dondero with you postgame afterwards. Cerrone, what do you got?
I got him getting 30 again, man. I got him at 31. Right. I'm going to go 31-10. And again, not because they were just a dominant offense. I think the Browns have a ton of 3-and-outs in this one. Patriots get the ball back and find a way to get in the end zone, maybe once every quarter or one big quarter, maybe a defensive touchdown or something like that. So I see them getting, 4 touchdowns and a field goal out of this one. And the Browns really struggling to do anything on the road here. I got the Patriots, like I said, like 31-10 or something like that.
I'm going to say 21-10. I think this Browns defense makes a couple of plays. I think the Patriots know they need to win this game ugly. I think they're okay with it. And so, 21-10, quieter day for the offense, but they get the job done nonetheless, extend the winning streak to 5 games. Ryan Garvin, what say you?
I don't really have a prediction, just more of a request. If the Patriots win, great. If the Browns win, great. My only request is Drake May. Please take care of yourself today. That bang in his head last week really shook me, and we saw a glimpse of the future. If we come out of this win or loss and Drake May is healthy at the end of the day, I will feel very good about the state of the Patriots.
So I will say we didn't really get to that today because we do more of the upcoming game than the last game. I do think that was a wake-up call for him. If you watch the way he goes about getting tackled the rest of that game after he came back in, he makes a more concerted effort to keep his shoulders up, keep his head off the turf, get out of bounds, things like that. But Myles Garrett, it's Halloween time. We know what he does for Halloween. He puts the graveyard of all the quarterbacks he sacked in his front yard. So
and it works for him, but I need Drake May. Please stay healthy. Please stay healthy.
Yeah. This is a guy that's coming for you. You got a score, though? You got a score for us?
I'm going to say Pats 28 and the Browns. I'm going to do 28-14 again. I think it's going to be a big first half, very quiet second half.
I could see that. Get up and then coast, keep the clock running. I do think it is, if the Patriots get an early lead, try to keep that clock running, but they're going to have to run the football against this defense. We'll see if they can do it. Matt Dolph and I will have coverage of the game on 98.5thesportshub.com. Patriots Hub podcast tonight on the Sports Hub YouTube channel. Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get it. Then the David Andrews podcast tomorrow, same place. You missed any of this show, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, wherever you get your podcasts. Also the Sports Hub YouTube channel. Cerrone, great job as always. Ryan Garvin, great job as always. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Atlanta Falcons. A little tougher of a matchup, but got to get through this one first. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the day, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. WBZ-FM at HD Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Media Group Station. This is Patriots Preview, driven by the stylish Honda Accord. Contact your local New England Honda dealers to learn more or shop online at newengland.hondadealers.com.
The snap to May, back 2 steps, looks to the end zone. He pumps. Drake May eludes a defender, running to his left, looking to the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end.